Hey there, my name is Vaughn. I'm a knife maker from the Orlando, Florida area, and I just wanted to talk about Bitcoin. I'm having a hard time orange pilling some of my friends and family. They really just don't want to hear it, and it's hard to understand what Bitcoin is. But to understand Bitcoin, we have to understand what money is. And we were all born into a financial system that doesn't explain what money is. So telling someone how important Bitcoin is and how it might be a paradigm shift is tough. The big idea around Bitcoin is actually found in a much earlier history of value, which is closer to the true definition of what money is. But in the very beginning, there was no money. We lived in a world where trade was raw and immediate and cumbersome. If you had a basket of apples and you wanted a spear, you'd better hope that your neighbor who owns a spear was craving apples. So this was barter, and it was messy. Enter the Yap people. And they were a society in the Pacific Islands who really took things in a whole new level with their rice stones. These were massive limestone discs. Some were as big as cars, quarried from distant islands and hauled across the ocean. These weren't pocket change. These were wealth you could see from a mile away. The value wasn't just in the stone, but in the epic saga of getting it there. Labor, risk, and the sheer human grit that was involved. The Yap people, they didn't need to move these stones to trade with them. The ownership was a shared story. It was a collective agreement etched in the community's memory. This was money's first lesson. Value is what we agree it is, rooted in effort and trust. So as societies grew, so did the need for something more portable, something smaller. So shells and beads and polished stones became the next step. Beautiful, they were durable, they were divisible, and they were nature's gifts. They were imbued with a value through scarcity and through human desire. Then came metals, copper, silver, gold. And gold was a game changer. It was very rare. It didn't rust. It gleamed with a kind of eternal allure. To get it, you had to prospect, you had to mine and refine and craft it into coins and jewelry. And every ounce was a proof of work, sweat, time, and ingenuity poured into something tangible. A gold coin wasn't just a medium of exchange. It was a story of human effort, a physical law of value creation. You could hold it, feel its weight, and you knew it would still mean something a generation later. But humans are restless innovators, and soon we began to abstract money further. Enter the era of debt and credit, promises to pay, IOUs, and ledger entries started to replace physical goods. This was a leap. Money became less about the thing in your hand and more about the trust in the system. By the 20th century, gold-backed currencies ruled the world. The US dollar tied to gold was a promise. You could, in theory, trade your paper for a fixed amount of that shimmering, beautiful metal. It was a tether to reality, a check on temptation to create more money out of thin air. Then came the pivot that changed everything. In 1971, the United States severed the dollar's tie to gold, ushering in an era of fiat currency, money backed by not metal, but by the government's say-so. This was a seismic shift. Without gold's anchor, the dollar became a creature of debt, printed into existence by central banks. It was like handing humanity a magic wand with a warning label that says, use sparingly, or else. And the or else was inflation. The slow erosion of value as more dollars chased the same amount of goods. And here's where the plot thickens. The United States dollar wasn't just America's money. It was the world reserve currency, the backbone of global trade, oil, commodities, international debt, all priced in dollars. This was power, but it came with a curse called the Triffin Dilemma. The Triffin Dilemma is kind of like a cosmic catch-22. To keep the world economy humming, the United States had to pump out dollars to meet global demand. But the more dollars it printed, the shakier the dollar value became. It's like lending your neighbor tools while your own house is falling apart. America's main export became its currency. And in return, we got real stuff. Cars from Japan, oil from Saudi Arabia, electronics from China. Sounds like a sweet deal, right? Except it wasn't. The flood of dollars fueled debt, and the debt needs servicing. Interest piles up, deficits balloon, and the middle class, those hardworking folks paid in those dollars, they watch their purchasing power erode. The dollar, once a rock-solid store of value, started leaking like a sieve. And this is where the story gets personal. Think about it. You work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, pouring your time, your energy, and your life into earning money. You're not just earning paper. You're trading your existence for something you hope will hold its worth tomorrow, next year, into retirement. But with a debt-based inflationary currency, that hope is a gamble. The dollar value slips away, eaten by inflation or diluted by endless printing. So what do? You chase assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, even collectibles like watches or art, anything that might carry or hold the value into the future. It's a collective realization. We know what value is, and we know the dollar is not cutting it. Now, let's pivot to the 21st century, where a mysterious figure named Satoshi Nakamoto drops a bombshell: Bitcoin. Bitcoin was born in 2009, and it isn't just a currency. It's a rebellion against the fiat system's flaws. It's not a stock or a bond or even gold. It's something new. Bitcoin is digital, decentralized, and it's capped at 21 million coins. No central bank can print more. No government can seize it without your private key. It's engineered to hold value with no leakage, like a thermos designed to keep heat in forever. It's the closest thing we've got to a thermodynamically sound economic system, a machine that resists entropy. What makes Bitcoin special? It's proof of work reborn in a digital age. Miners compete to solve complex mathematical puzzles, expending computational power and electricity to validate transactions and earn new coins. Like gold, it's not free. It's costly, deliberate, and it's tied to a real-world effort. But unlike gold, it's weightless, divisible to 8 decimal points, and it can zip across the globe in minutes. It's money that doesn't need a middleman, a bank, or a vault. And its fixed supply means it can't be inflated away by a printing press. But Bitcoin's true power lies in what it represents. It's a rejection of the debt-based virus that's infected global economies. Fiat currencies, untethered from gold or any other natural constraint, are like a runaway train. They fuel debt bubbles, they reward reckless spending, and they punish savers. Over time, the debt service becomes a crushing weight. Economies stagger under interest payments, and the middle class gets squeezed. Bitcoin flips this script. It's a currency that doesn't bend to political whims or central bank policies. It's a bet on a future where value is preserved, not eroded. Now, don't get me wrong. Bitcoin isn't perfect. Its volatility is a roller coaster, and its adoption is still a work in progress. But we're only beginning to grasp its long-term impact. Will it replace fiat? Probably not anytime soon, but it's a quantum leap in the evolution of money. A challenge to the status quo that forces us to rethink what money should be. It's a reminder that money isn't just a tool. It's a reflection of human values. We want something that carries our work, our time, our lives into the future without loss. Bitcoin, for all its complexity, is a step toward that ideal. So, here we are, at a crossroads in the story of money. From giant stones to gold coins to paper promises to digital code, we've been chasing the same thing, a way to capture and preserve value. The United States dollar, as the world's reserve currency, is buckling under its own weight, a victim of the Triffin dilemma and unchecked debt. Bitcoin, with its radical transparency and unyielding scarcity, offers a different path, one that's not without risk, but it does brim with possibility. As we look into the future, the question isn't what money will look like, but what we want it to mean. Because at its core, money isn't about stones or shells or code. It's about us. It's about our trust and the value we create together. Thank you for listening. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Bye.